지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고, 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
It's been a month since Donald Trump took the oath of office for his second term, right? And to say that this has been an eventful month, I think that is a vast understatement. Trump has made waves across the U.S., actually around the world, from dismissing federal workers to imposing and announcing sweeping tariffs. So will things calm down from month 2 and onward? Or has this just been a preview of more things to come? I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, February 21st on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. It is indeed Friday. TGIF. So happy that today's that day, right? So we have a little bit of extra energy in our voice, maybe our step as we go about our day, as we look forward to the weekend. Well, things have been going at warp speed ever since President Donald Trump, he took, back the office, going back into the Oval Office. So this is, they've been dubbing it Trump 2.0. The first 100 days are usually considered to be the busiest time for any new administration to hit the ground running, so to speak. But the speed at which the Trump administration has been going is unprecedented. And since January 20th, Donald Trump has signed 65 executive orders, which is almost double the number he signed in the first 100 days of his first term. And by the way, this tactic is called flooding. So flooding, that would be like a 홍수 전략, to present kind of a flood of policies before people have time to form a more critical stance. So the biggest category was in diplomacy and trade-related issues, aka tariffs, which is the issue that the global community is watching closely and anxiously. The latest of which may be a sweeping car and pharmaceutical tariffs as warned by Trump. So another major field was reforming the federal government and immigration and security. So in fact, border security was a major reason for Trump's tariffs against Mexico and Canada. And because of this, world leaders are in negotiations and, it's basically everybody's in kind of like damage control kind of territory right now. Many have met with Trump, like the leaders of Japan and India, taking the strategy of flattery with investment plans to protect their interests. How has Trump been received domestically in the past month? Well, according to a YouGov poll published earlier this month, so across 2,175 people with a margin of error of plus or minus 2.5%, Trump received a 53% positive rating to a 47% negative response. So this is higher than his approval ratings during the early days of his first term. So apparently, some Americans are quite okay. They're thinking positively of his performance thus far. This is where we stand on, at the end of month 1 of Trump 2.0. And now, it's time for a text topic. Are you ready? So it's one of those questions, would you rather, meaning you have to pick one of the two choices. So would you rather, number 1, have the ability to see 2 years into the future? Or number 2, have the ability to go back 2 years in time? Such a good question. 자, 금요일을 맞아 밸런스 게임입니다. 1번 2년 뒤에 미래를 볼 수 있는 능력. 오, versus 2년 전으로 돌아갈 수 있는 능력. Which this is a hard one. But I don't want to hear arguments for both. You got to choose one and tell me why. Send your responses to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 to find our channel. And you can subscribe, like we talked about subscriptions yesterday. And you can also log in and chat with our waivers. Also on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. And you can also send in your messages to me for free through Kakao Talk. So to find us, 친구 찾기. So add us as a friend. You got to type in BEFM or 부산영어방송 as well. The ways you can listen to us on the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. That's if you're in the Busan area. But of course, we have so many listeners beyond Busan. So that's why we have our YouTube channel. Once again, we're streaming live. You can watch again at your leisure. We also have our own BEFM app, which you can download for free to listen to our program. Also, we have the 와글와글 segment on the Patbang app as well. Looking ahead to our morning together, it is Friday once again. So who do we have? We have Casey with Foreign Press Highlights. We have Vasana with What in the World. And for our special interview, it's kind of a what in the world kind of interview because we're going to talk about the future of living tooth replacements with pigs. You heard me right, 돼지. So if you're curious, if I have piqued your curiosity with this, I want you to stay tuned. That's coming up in hour number 2. This might revolutionize, things like implants, dentures, etc. I said might, so find out in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Yoon's impeachment oral arguments to end on March 25th. The Constitutional Court yesterday decided to wrap up oral arguments on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment hearing on February 24th, with a final verdict expected mid-March. Four-way talks with government and rival parties end without results. The meeting with the acting president, National Assembly Speaker, and the ruling and major opposition party leadership ended without an agreement on an extra budget or a special law on semiconductors. Justice Ministry to expand region-specific visas amid population crisis. The Ministry of Justice will expand the number of regions eligible for region-specific visas and relax visa requirements as part of a plan to attract foreign workers to areas facing population decline. YouTuber sentenced to 3 years for blackmailing Ziyang. The Suwon District Court yesterday sentenced YouTuber Koo Jae-hyuk to 3 years in prison, finding him guilty of blackmail and extortion of mukbang star Ziyang. Israel grieves as Hamas returns bodies of hostages. The remains of 2 young children, their mother and an elderly man taken hostage by Hamas, have been returned to Israel in what has been described as one of the hardest days for Israel. And these are today's headlines. It's time to check in with Sue for Busan Updates. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
I know, it's that day. So extra happy this morning. However, we got to get to our text topic first. Which would you rather?
No hesitation.
Yes.
2 years in the future.
Oh, really?
Because my future is very promising. I don't know what that means, but
You said it. I'm like, 할 말을 잃었네요. Speechless.
all right.
Really?
I'm just curious. am I still in Busan?
Okay.
Am I in a good relationship? You know, things like that.
Oh, like that kind of relationship?
That as well, but in friends-wise as well.
I see.
Never
Well, we
know.
have a message from Tommy who says, good to go back 2 years with lots of lottery numbers.
Oh,
You're so smart. That's the engineer brain in you. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I might borrow that one. But anyhow, thank you for sharing that you would like to go 2 years into the future. Well, our first update is this. Yeongdo-gu district has the highest unemployment rate plus the lowest employment rate as well. And that's here in South Korea, right?
yes. So Yeongdo-gu is a district for its known for its rapid aging population.
Yes.
And it hasn't seen any improvement in employment figures over the past year. And according to the latest statistics from the Korean Statistical Office, the employment rate in Yeongdo-gu district is just 48.1%, which is the lowest among all districts in Busan.
Right.
And for comparison, Gangseogu district leads with 70.3%, likely because of the industrial developments happening there. And for the unemployment rate, Yeongdo-gu district sits at 5.2%, which is the highest in Busan.
Yes.
As well. And on top of that, almost half, like around 49% of the district's population aged 15 and over is not economically active.
I see. Well, let's break down the demographics, like, the employment trends by age and occupation in Busan.
So for young people ages 15 to 29, Junggu district had the highest employment rate at 56.1%, while Geumjeonggu district had the lowest at 31.3%. And for seniors 65 and older, Gangseogu district leads with about 53% still working, and while only 25% of seniors in Suyeonggu district are employed. And Haeundae-gu district has the most professionals and managers at 29.2%, and Junggu district is big on service and sales roles, 5.6%, and Yeongdo-gu district, on the other hand, has a higher share, around 24% of workers in basic labor jobs like manual labor.
I see. So to get kind of a snapshot of the different districts and their demographics according to employment, age, etc. Thank you for covering that. All right, let's go to our second story. This is regarding Busan City. Our city has secured DN Automotive's 440 billion won battery production plant investment. So this is good news, right?
Yes. So the city has successfully attracted a massive amount of investment, approximately $330 million, and from DN Automotive for a brand new battery production plant. And this is a big deal because DN Group has officially chosen Busan as its future production hub. And the company had already started investing last year when its affiliate DN Solutions began building an advanced global manufacturing center in the city.
Yes. So we want to know more about this plan because, this is a huge investment.
The new factory will focus on advanced automotive batteries and is set to be completed by 2028. It will be located in the Dongbusan E-Park Industrial Complex in Gijanggun County, covering approximately 89,000 square meters. And the project is expected to create around 300 new jobs in areas like research and development, production, and management support. And DN Automotive ranked 74th among Korea's top conglomerates with over 5 trillion won in assets.
Okay.
And they started back in 1971 as Donga Tire Industry and now focus on auto parts, batteries, and machine tools. And with this new Busan factory joining its existing Ulsan plant, DN Automotive will massively boost its battery production power. And this positions them to take a bigger share of the booming car battery market. And especially, these days electric vehicles are getting more popular.
Yes.
So it's a game changer.
I think so too. So definitely good news for our city. All right, next let's talk about this. 50 plus, meaning I guess people who are 50 and above.
Yes.
Life Redesign University. Apparently they're going to be adding two new institutions this year. So we want to hear more about this in general and all the details.
So this university is called 50 plus 생애 재설계 대학. So their the programs are for the new middle-aged generation,
Okay.
신중년 세대, so between the ages of 50 and 64, and it will help them to navigate their second phase of their life. The program started back in 2017 with Busan National University and Donghwa University. And now more universities are joining to provide even more opportunities for those facing retirement or major life changes.
I see. So thanks for explaining the general overall view. But what's kind of like the goal of these programs?
To help this generation build like new skills, whether it's for re-employment, entrepreneurship, or getting involved in social contributions.
Yes.
And some of the courses on offer include AI and data labeling, drone technology, urban farming, wellness care, and even senior fashion modeling.
So that sounds really interesting for those who are kind of entering another new phase in life. All right. Lastly, Asia's largest drone exhibition. This is called 2025 Drone Show Korea. This will open at Bexco on the 26th.
Yes. So the 2025 Drone Show Korea, now rebranded as DSK, is set to take place at Bexco from February 26th for 3 days. And celebrating its 10th anniversary, this year's event will be the largest, featuring 306 companies from 15 countries with more than 1,130 booths spread across 26,508 square meters. And there will be a prestigious conference hosting 44 speakers from 9 nations, offering insights into the latest trends in the global drone industry and future air mobility.
Right. So we already know this is like, it's not just a future anymore. It's like the now. It's very big. Well, we want to know about the key participants.
So, Korean Air, the
Yes.
largest airline in Korea, will showcase AI-powered autonomous flights and manned and to unmanned integrated systems.
Okay.
And Korea Aerospace Industries will also demonstrate next-generation AI air combat systems, leading the future of air mobility.
Okay.
And the Ministry of National Defense will unveil AI-powered integrated combat systems, so showcasing the latest technologies from Korea's Army, Navy, and Air Force, highlighting their vision for the future battlefields.
Yes.
And furthermore, 66 international companies from 14 countries, including China, the United States, Finland, Germany, and Poland, will join the event. And starting this year, the Space and Aviation Pavilion, which is led by the Korea Aerospace Administration,
Right.
will showcase new business models that expand from drones to space and aviation. And additionally, a drone entertainment zone will be set up where visitors can experience water drones and participate in e-drone racing for an interactive and engaging experience. And finally,
Yes.
to add a touch of spectacle, a drone fireworks show featuring 600 drones will light up the skies above Bexco on the evening of February 26th.
Oh, wow. So this is a mega event. It sounds like all the big, players nationally, from the government are going to be there. And plus, I like the fact that they're trying to include regular people like you and me to go check it out as well. So thank you for all the updates. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too,
And
Catherine.
yes, of course, we'll see Sue on Monday. And back to you, the listeners. We are ready for your traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic report right now at 7:18 on this Friday morning. There's some congestion on the Dongso overpass from Pumnico ramp to the old Kekum tollgate. Also some buildup of traffic on Mandakdero from Minam intersection to Namsanjeong station. It's also looking slow on Jungangdero from Seomyeon intersection to Songgong three-way intersection. Also some backup detected on Pansonglo from Kumsa intersection to Alek intersection in both directions right now. Currently, it is minus 2 degrees Celsius here in Busan. The daytime high is expected to go up to 6, so pretty similar to yesterday. There is a dry weather special alert in Busan. So that means, yes, we all need to be careful of forest fires and, of course, keep hydrated too. Looking ahead to the weekend. For tomorrow, a low of minus 3, a high of 6. Similar on Sunday, but the high will only go up to 4 degrees Celsius, and it's expected to be clear on both days. Looking ahead to the weekend, this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest with Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, before everything, I do want to update our opening, bridge.
Oh.
Trump's executive orders now
Yes.
stands at 73.
Oh.
So that's been upped.
Just from
Just
a few hours ago.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The day before. But
yes.
here we are.
Oh. All right. Well, before we get into News Digest, let's get into our text topic.
Yes.
So, in case you're joining us right now, would you rather go back in time like 2 years ago or go 2 years into the future?
I don't like spoilers, so I'm gonna go back in time. And also, we did have a discussion between
Yes.
myself and Pidinim yesterday, like how many years? Because she was like, "Did you want 10 years or 5 years?" She wanted like a long time, and I'm like, I don't want to live through that again.
So
Like,
2 years.
Ugh. So, and then I was like, 1 year, and she's like, 1 year's too short, so we compromised to 2.
I was wondering about the 2 because it's kind of like, to me, I was like, 2?
Right, but like
there a major
year
difference?
ago, because we always talk about like how fast a year has gone. So
That's
it's like,
true.
well, a year ago, what was it 2024? It's
Yeah.
February. It's like not much has changed in the span of it. I mean, things change, but also not really.
Right.
So yeah.
And if you did 5, we'd be smack in the middle of COVID.
Exactly. I'm like, once again, that's why I'm like, I don't want to go through that again.
no.
I really don't.
Yes. Okay. Well, I understand your reasoning. Let's jump into our first story. So, a 45-year-old court case is resurfacing. The case of ex-spy chief Kim Jae-gyu, who assassinated former president Park Chung-hee. So, we need to know the what and the why.
I mean, speaking of going back in
Yes.
time, we're going to go back far, far to the 70s and the 80s. So this is, of course, the very famous assassination of former President Park Chung-hee at the hands of his kind of CIA, NIS, now spy chief.
Yes.
So the Seoul High Court earlier in the week, it ruled to retry the case. A former Korean Central Intelligence Agency, which is now the National Intelligence Agency, head Kim Jae-gyu.
Okay.
So Kim was convicted back in 1979 for having assassinated then President Park Chung-hee, and Kim was sentenced to death and executed in May of 1980.
Okay.
But the retrial request was made about 5 years ago by his family, accepted now.
Oh, I see. Well, obviously, you just mentioned that he was executed. What exactly are they trying to achieve by
Right.
retrying this case?
Right. So what the family wants to do, they want to clear the murder for intent of insurrection conviction. In Korean, that would be 내란 목적 살인죄. So, I mean, it's historical fact that he did assassinate the president, but they want to go back on the motive of
if there was intent of insurrection.
Exactly. Because the authorities back then, under Chun Doo-hwan's leadership, who led the martial law command, they classified the assassination as Kim Jae-gyu's attempt to become president himself. So almost kind of like a coup d'etat attempt.
Okay.
However, Kim, during his trial, said that he assassinated the president because he was trying to stop Park Chung-hee from suppressing the Puma democratic protests using force.
I see.
And he said that even the president has no right to decimate free democracy, and he only has the duty and responsibility to protect it.
I see. Well, now that we have clarification, it seems that the court also cited problems on how the case was investigated and tried back then.
And that's why they have decided to retry the case because they have evidence that the investigators back then questioned Kim through coercive means, including torture. So the case itself was tried and concluded in 16 days, which if you're looking at a case as major as the assassination of a president,
Right.
it's just a little over 2 weeks. That's for the first trial, and appeals trial made in 6 days. So the case also may have historical and political implications as well.
Yes.
Because the defense counsel right now representing Kim Jae-gyu's side, or his family rather, they say that there needs to be reevaluation of the case, not just historically, but judicially. They also say that the assassination was an act of resistance, in their words, 항거, against the then authoritarian dictatorship of the time. And this is why they're requesting a retrial. The defense also cite illegality of the extraordinary or the extraordinary martial law that was imposed after Park Chung-hee's assassination, and the fact that Kim, he's a spy chief, but not military personnel. So he was a civilian,
Yes.
but he was tried in military court, and that he couldn't exercise his right to defense. And by that, they actually have the attorney who defended Kim Jae-gyu back in the 79 trials, who testified in court that notes were passed on to the judge during the trial, and after such notes were passed, it resulted in sudden recesses, and that he himself, the defense attorney, was summoned in front of the judge and was asked, why does a public defender try so hard? Kind of implying him to not. Yeah. So that's where things are.
Interesting. So hence why the family is asking for a retrial on that charge. Well, of course, we'll follow up on this story, but in the meantime, we need to talk about the prolonged trainee doctors' walkout. For the time being, it seems that medical professors and other staff have been able to work things out, at least for surgeries and treatment and whatnot. But the bigger concern is in the mid to long term.
Right. So because we have almost no residents left in training hospitals,
Right.
there's no pool for future specialists. So this is particularly dire for essential medicine, which was never... It was always in a shortage of doctors to
Yes.
begin with. And now it may be next to impossible in the next few years to get heart surgery, for example. So right now, that's because there are only 6 residents or 전공의 in the cardiothoracic surgery departments across the entire country.
country.
The whole country. We're not talking about one hospital.
Okay.
There are 2 more first-year residents joining the departments. Once again, that's for the entire country, which would bring the number to 8, and that's not even the number. That's not even half the number of metropolitan cities and provinces we have.
Yes.
So at this rate, come 2026, and that's next year, there will only be 1 new thoracic surgeon passing the board exam, becoming a specialist.
Okay.
So there's a massive shortage of not only surgeons, but also anesthesiologists. So these are 마취과 의사 as well. So one patient in a Seoul area hospital had his spine surgery canceled just 30 minutes before
Wow.
because there wasn't an anesthesiologist to oversee his procedure. So again, the victim of this prolonged walkout is the patients.
Indeed. So, it's always like kind of like someone else's problem until
Until it becomes your problem,
gets
right.
sick. So, All right, next we're going to talk about an environmental issue concerning industrial landfills, right?
Right. So industrial landfills are 산업폐기물 매립장. Apparently a very lucrative business.
Oh, really?
Who knew? And the reason for companies paying them high fees, making them a lucrative business, is, not only to take care of their trash immediately, their waste
Yes.
immediately, but also take care of it and see it through for years to come. Because unlike, plastics and, our plastic bags and, home waste, it has an environmental ramification, but if your waste has potentially toxic material, industrial waste, far higher risks. But we are seeing leaches of contamination, leaching of contamination,
Yes.
illegal operations, and local governments having to take care of that, and that includes taxpayer money. So one report, we're going to actually go to our neighboring city of Ulsan. It started back in March of 2023. There was this dark odorous, which means smelly liquid that was seeping into a factory at the Mipo National Industrial Complex. And this seeping or leaking or leaching continued until very recently.
Yes.
So Ulsan City, and you can see kind of the very dark liquid seeping through from the coastal area into the oceans. And by the way, currents travel, and we live, an hour's drive away from Ulsan. So the city of Ulsan and the Nakdong River Environment Center, they conducted research and pointed to a nearby industrial waste disposal or landfill, Unicon, as the cause. So they analyzed the contamination that they found in the water and what the company has inside of their property.
Yes.
The environmental authorities ordered their company to clean up this mess and suspended its business for 3 months. But the company hit back with an administrative lawsuit. And the court sided with the company.
Oh, really?
Right, citing a lack of, they basically say there isn't enough evidence. So the company, according to reports, their landfills equal to 9 football fields. So they have massive property of industrial waste. The point is that they're not only supposed to bury the trash and get rid of it, but take care of it and make sure that the contamination doesn't seep into the soil and into the water system.
Yes.
And they have to do this, by the way, for 30 years after they receive said trash, and that is by the law. But obviously, that's not happening, or that's not happening well enough.
Yes.
So we are seeing liquids being leached out, and that's called 침출수 유출. And evidence that they're not doing the thing that they're supposed to. They're getting paid to.
Right.
By the way, how lucrative is this? For every ton of industrial waste they receive about between 100 to 200,000 won, 10만 won to 20만 won. And, because it's getting dumped by the ton, they're making a lot of money. So that's why we see these businesses popping up left and right.
I see.
Right. But once again, here's the thing. If they're not doing their job and the courts are not holding them accountable, then it is ultimately taxpayer money that's being used to clean that up. So you could be wondering, what about any long-term solutions, institutional, legal? The Environment Ministry is looking into ways to impose a higher insurance fee for these messes to be cleaned up. But then it's also, once again, will that raise the cost of waste treatment? Then that becomes less profitable for businesses.
Right, and just the fact that is like leaking out into the environment.
Our water system.
Yes.
Right.
And just think about not just us, but like all the marine life as well.
Right.
Ultimately, though, it's bad for us as well. We're going to move on to some international news, but this time we're going to go back in time. Way back, right?
Right. So, and this was like our option 2 of our text topic. There was a meme last year of, it was last year, the year before. See, years don't matter anymore. The Roman Empire. How men, and I don't know if this applies to Korea, but how men in like the West, they will sporadically but consistently think about the Roman Empire.
Yes.
Like
surprisingly,
like very often. You're right. And I wonder if, because I know there are a lot of like 밀떡s, like military nerds in Korea and elsewhere. Does that have to do with the military? Like, why? Tell me, waivers, male waivers.
Know.
Why? And also, do you have a historical period that you just kind of randomly think about or are obsessed with? Because I do. I did.
Which?
Ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt.
10-year-old Haley was obsessed with ancient Egypt.
I was like into the Renaissance period. Because the reason why is because once a year I would go to like a Renaissance fair. And that would be like the highlight of just
those are like
really fun.
Dedicated.
Yeah. And we would dress like, so-called
wenches.
Wood nymph.
Oh God, sorry.
A wench. With the garland in the hair, and we would wear like the prettiest like floating dress.
Right. Lots of chiffon, lots of florals.
So that was my era.
So there we go.
Wench. Thanks, Haley. How do we even describe wench?
Like it's like 무수리. It's like if we're considering 조선시대, it's like 무수리. Sorry.
And then like wood nymph is like a fairy.
Yes. So big discrepancy. All right. So we're gonna throw this back to 10-year-old Haley.
Okay.
Ancient Egypt. Back to about 3,500 years ago, a tomb of an Egyptian pharaoh has been found.
Okay.
Because we all know the tomb of an Egyptian pharaoh, King Tut, King Tutankhamen, whose tomb was discovered, 1922? But this new discovery may be the King Tut of our generation. So this is the tomb of Thutmose II. It is the last missing royal tomb from the 8th dynasty, once again going back to 3,500 years in the western valleys of the Theban and the Acropolis in Egypt. So who is this guy? Who are you?
Yes, who are you?
Thutmose II. All right, we probably don't know who this guy is, but we know his wife. Most people do. Queen Hatshepsut 여왕.
I remember.
Because she ruled in her own right. But she was also the queen of this pharaoh. So after he died, she took over. the discoveries, the digs are always so fascinating because you never expect to find the tomb of Pharaoh and you're just digging or you think it's someone like a royal, another royal family, and then boom, here it is. And this is what kind of what happened, uncovered by a joint British-Egyptian mission. And the objects were recovered from the mission, like alabaster jars, which are used to store perfumes, oils, and they were inscribed with the name of the pharaoh. Ooh. And that's why they're like, oh, we are really onto something.
Yes, yes.
In fact, they were, the archaeologists, they were digging, and they initially thought this would be a tomb of a queen. And then they realized when they were digging down, the staircases and the scale was way too big to be just for a queen. And this led to speculation. So the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities of Egypt called this an extraordinary moment for Egyptology and broader understanding of our shared human history.
Very interesting. Oh, we have photos also.
I mean, can you imagine that big of a location to be your tomb? Because if you go can you with your wood nymph history?
I'm not a wench. 뒤끝 저 장난.
Because you go to like Gyeongju and you see the massive tombs and you're like, those are huge, and then you see that, and that was from once again 3,500 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I deserve better than that. I'm just kidding. I am 농담이에요.
Yes, very Catherine.
Well, thank you so much, Haley. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you.
See you in a bit.
Yes, and back to you, the waivers. We're talking about, would you rather have the ability to see 2 years into the future or have the ability to go back 2 years in time? This is a tough one. 네, 그래서 밸런스 게임. 2년 뒤의 미래를 볼 수 있다. 그런 능력 versus 2년 전으로 돌아가는 능력. Look at your responses. Aside from Benny, who has chimed in, and let's excuse me, I write Tommy's, not. Umberto says this. Definitely the future. I want to see my son, how he's doing in the future. The past is done for me. Oh, that's interesting. And so 고수 says this. 오늘 토픽 이 제가 좋아하는 영화 About Time을 연상시키네요. 저 선택은 2년 전으로 돌아가는 능력으로 선택하고 그 선택을 다시 하고 싶네요. 그런 거 없는데요. 마음대로 왔다 갔다 하시면 안 됩니다. 10년 전은 안 되나요? 네, 안 됩니다. So I say no because he wants to go back 2 years in time and he likes that film About Time and then go back 2 years again. So he wants to do it 5 times. You can only do it once. That's the caveat. Let's get to Kat's pick for today. It's time for Kat's Pick, and today I want to talk about something, and I want to ask you a question too. I mean, are you guys thrill seekers? 스릴 좋아하세요? But what about this? Skiing next to an erupting volcano? I don't know about this one. Here's a clip from NBC News.
Terrifying and beautiful at the same time. That is Italy's Mount Etna, and people can't seem to stay away from the allure of the bright orange lava spewing from the world's most active volcano in Sicily. The tourists getting authorities red hot while they coordinate rescues. The tallest volcano in Europe has been erupting for centuries, starting up again in February, rippling fiery red lava across the mountain's crater. Drone footage shows cascading plumes of volcanic gas rising. Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology is tracking lava as high as 300 meters above sea level. The town below attracting thousands of tourists to get a view of the spectacular sight. But the head of Sicily's Regional Protection Agency telling CNN the influx of people is becoming a safety risk, saying tourists are blocking rescue workers and ambulances from reaching the mountain and hiking up the narrow, snowy roads without a guide. He said this week 8 people were rescued after getting lost for several hours attempting to hike the mountain without any help. We reached out to the department for comment but haven't heard back. Thousands of miles away, a massive eruption from Hawaii's second largest volcano has also been luring visitors. People flocking to the site just to get a glimpse of the fountaining lava erupting on and off since late December. For now, the volcano doesn't seem to be posing a safety risk for the visitors there. But at the snow-capped Bocca Nuova crater back in Italy, a few dozen flights had to be diverted due to the eruptions. Flights have since resumed. Skiers there getting dangerously close to the lava, defying the locals' calls to stay away. Quite a way to heat up the cold weather sport.
So as you heard in that clip, and if you are, watching our YouTube channel, can you believe people are actually like skiing next to an erupting volcano? I mean, I get it. You love skiing or you're a thrill seeker, but do you want to go against just, common sense? And of course, authorities are saying, get away, stay away. So if this is a thing, I guess I am not going to partake in it. This was Kat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for Casey and Foreign Press Highlights.
You got it.
I almost said, what in the world?
What in the world are you thinking?
I had a brain fart. I had a little pause, brain
That's right.
fog in the morning. So, how are you?
Good. I'm enjoying your greenness.
Because it brings out the green in my eyes.
Yes, I see.
If you look carefully.
Actually, yeah, the reflection. There's
no green in my It's an ongoing joke we have. But yes, our text topic is this. Are you ready? It's a Friday.
Okay.
Would you rather have the ability to go 2 years into the future? You can only do it once because people keep on saying they want to do it like 5 times.
Okay.
Or go back in time 2 years. You can only do it once.
My brain just exploded trying to do math.
Okay.
I was like, 2 years from now, what is that going to be? Oh, wow. I don't know. I guess I would go backwards.
Backwards, why?
I'm afraid of what's going to be 2 years from now. I don't know.
Oh,
man.
you're afraid. Oh, you don't want to know.
I don't know. Things are good. Things are wacky right now in the world. 2 years from now.
Are they?
Yeah, slightly.
Okay.
But if I could project 2 months into spring,
yes.
Your green is like bringing that out. I'm like, spring.
Spring is.
I'm ready.
Oh, our curtain's closed.
It's yeah, that's unfortunate. It is nice outside. The sun is up. In case you didn't know, the sun is up now. Yes.
It's up? Okay.
It is. You trust me.
We forgot to open the curtains.
Yeah, it's very enclosed here today.
Yeah, we have our lovely beige curtains. And
Yes.
that is, yes, a pun.
It brings out the beige in my eyes.
It brings out the dull grayness in all of us.
I know, right? I'm like, I probably like meld like into the scenery and just like exactly the
I have
same.
to actively avoid beige. And I have quite a few beige items in my closet.
And you're just
but
like-
I always tell myself, I'm just going to blend in.
Right.
I'm going to look like
Ghost.
the curtain.
Yeah, right.
Yes. All right, we're going to dive into our first story for Foreign Press Highlights. What's it about? Where's it from?
Okay, actually, we're going to do mostly one article, but there's a couple as well I just wanted to touch on because one of the biggest stories this week in terms of international coverage has been the death of Kim Se-ron, which is, of course, an unfortunate story. And most of the headlines are very generic and kind of similar, but the one that caught my eye was from Time magazine, and I'm curious if this kind of... you've had the same feeling about this, because you've been here all the week and been talking about the news and stuff. So the headline from Time magazine was actress Kim Se-ron's death sparks outcry over toxic Korean culture around celebrities. And that's a very succinct title. I mean, everything that is going to be in the article is in the title, which is kind of rare these days.
Right. It's a good title because sometimes titles are kind of like misleading and like too sensational.
Right.
I think this is it does a good job.
Okay, so this would be kind of what would you feel there's a public outcry?
I think so.
Okay.
I think if not, there should be.
Well, and they give details about why there should be. So a lot of the articles that came out this week, for example, from CNN and BBC, really give like basic kind of similar accounts of her career and what is assumed to have happened. So, for example, the 24-year-old who began her career as a child actor, they all talk about that.
Right.
They talk about the fact that she earned acclaim for her roles in domestic films, including, especially, everyone mentions The Man from Nowhere.
아저씨, right?
Right.
That's like the big one.
Right. And then they just talk about what happened. That basically she was found dead by a friend at her home on Sunday, and her death was assumed to be a suicide. The National Police Agency said it does not suspect foul play and that there was no note that was left behind. So all of the articles basically cover that basic information.
Yes, indeed. And so what does Time say about the public outcry?
So they say basically the death of Kim Se-ron this week has triggered an outpouring of grief and calls for changes to the way that the celebrities here are treated in the public arena and especially on social media. Critics are saying this can foster a culture of harassment.
Right.
And they do mention that she was once among the brightest stars in the vibrant movie and television scene here.
Yes.
But after she was convicted of a drunk driving incident in 2022, she really struggled to find work. She was fined for it. I don't think she received prison time for it, but basically her prison was the social media treatment that she received afterwards.
Yes.
They said the online posts in South Korea are notoriously harsh towards celebrities who make any kinds of missteps, especially women. And she faced constant negative coverage from news organizations as well that capitalized on this public sentiment.
Well, I'm curious, does Time give evidence of this?
Yeah, so they say that newspapers and websites criticized her whenever she was seen partying with friends, if she complained about having a lack of work or complaining about nasty comments she received on social media. Apparently, according to Time, she was even criticized for smiling while filming an independent movie last year. That sounds like a bit much to me.
I mean, I understand some people's sentiment about the whole drunk driving issue.
Sure.
That was a big issue.
Yep.
And as it should be, it's a no-no whether you're a celebrity
Right.
or just a layperson like you and I.
Yeah, that shouldn't matter who you are.
Right. So, but, she was convicted.
Right.
And whatever the court said, her sentence was fulfilled.
Right, and she was removed from her ongoing projects at the time. Like, they edited her out of that series.
So, I'm just saying, I mean, she's been sentenced. We all know. We all chastise her, criticize her for the drunk driving incident.
Right.
We did. I did as well.
Right.
But,
At some point, should she be allowed to go back to work again is kind of what they're implying here. Like, when can she resume her life as it was previously?
Because my question is this. Okay, if this is like the norm for every single person across the board,
right?
I guess we can't really complain. I'm just saying, I mean, even though you might think it's harsh or people may think it's harsh, however, we do see people out there who, whether they are, for example, we have talked about politicians on our program, who have had DUIs,
right?
And they have gone to resume their careers,
right?
That's just one example, I'm just saying.
And, it's weird because global entertainment content is such a thing now. When you see celebrities in other countries, for example, who, receive a slap on the wrist for related kinds of things.
Yes.
And then you just see them just back in the tabloids doing whatever they're doing. And then
Justin Timberlake, a few months back.
For example.
Just as an example.
Right.
We talked about that as well. There was a lot of criticism and public outcry.
Sure. And he probably apologized.
He did, but he's still working, isn't he?
Right. So that's kind of, I think, what Time is kind of pointing out here, that it's very different in terms of how celebrities are. Right. And it's a cultural issue. But they do say also there appears to be some hypocrisy going on now that, she has passed.
Right.
They said following Kim's death, several of the country's major newspapers this past Tuesday published editorials and opinion pieces, talking about the toxic online comments about her. And they did invoke, other suicide deaths of K-pop singers, another actor as well, and then calling for a change in this harsh zero-tolerance culture towards celebrities. And then at the same time, another newspaper here said the country's media outlets were part of the problem. So the same media outlets that are complaining about it, also receiving some criticism, saying that these outlets continue to exploit Kim for clicks. As you mentioned, titles being very misleading, or so even after her death, using provocative headlines to highlight her struggles. And then there's a watchdog called the Citizens Coalition for Democratic Media that also on Tuesday criticized news organizations for blaming social media without considering their own sensational and provocative reporting. So it seems like there's a lot of blame going around right now.
Right. And I'm assuming it's not just Time or just CNN or BBC. I mean, I saw the stories on every major outlet and minor outlet as well. It was a big
Right.
story. Any other, points to be taken from other, publications?
Sure. Just a quick quote from the New York Times.
Yes.
The New York Times also talking about this story said her death marks the latest tragedy to strike South Korea's booming but high-pressure entertainment industry, which faces criticism for the toll it places on the mental health of its burgeoning stars. They say over the past few years, several young stars were ruled to have died by suicide. One after receiving hate messages for being outspoken and opinionated, and another after a legal battle that put her romantic and sex life in the public domain. So it seems like you never can tell.
설리 and 구하라, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And they didn't even mention them. They're just trying to show you can never guess what people are going to be attacked for. It just could be anything is the point, I think.
Yes, yes. So that is the main story that we covered here.
Right.
And of course, thanks for pointing it out, meaning it's not just a domestic issue. I mean,
No, people are paying attention to this around the world.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And hence we're talking about it. Let's move on to our next story, though.
Sure. This one is, it's not specifically about South Korea, but the headline, I'll give it to you. It's a Nobel Prize winner decodes why people aren't having kids.
Oh.
And this comes from the Washington Post.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, it's not only about Korea. It's about Claudia Golden, who won the 2023 Nobel Prize in Economics. She had trailblazing studies on women and the labor force. She's dedicated her life to understanding the lives of working women specifically.
Yes.
She has new research that looks at the global fertility decline through the lens of macroeconomics.
So, what did she say?
She says there are two factors that explain a lot of the downward trends by each country.
Sure.
Basically, you have to look at the speed at which women entered the workforce after World War II, that time period, and how quickly men's ideas about who should raise kids and tidy up at home caught up to those changes. And basically, she said this class of expectations explains the fertility decline across the globe. And basically, it's this. In places where men do more around the house, fertility rates are higher. Where they do less, rates are lower.
Do we need to repeat that?
Shall I? I feel like I might be punching myself here by repeating this. But
Basically, 그 남자들이 집에서 집안일.
Yep.
And I say 집안일 meaning, house chores.
Housework, yeah.
Yeah,
right,
housework.
chores.
집안일 더 많이 하면 fertility rate. 출산율이 올라간다. According to Claudia Golden.
This is global research. This is
She's
not
an economist, okay?
Nobel Prize winner.
네, 그리고 덜 하면 출산율 떨어진대요. That's her theory.
That sounded right to me.
Just repeating the theory.
Would you like to see a graphic? Would you like to see a graphic? And this is included in the article.
Okay.
It's quite clear. You can just see it. There's a fertility rate and then the extra hours women spend on housework each day. Okay, so basically fertility rates are dropping almost everywhere around the world. But she found that there's a difference between the lowest of the low nations with fertility rates around 1.3 births per woman.
Yeah.
So we know we fit into that group. There's South Korea, there's Greece, there's Italy, Japan, Portugal, Spain. And then from that, moving up from that, the low nations, such as the United States, Denmark, France, Germany, Sweden, and Britain, which are around 1.6 births per woman.
I see.
And all of these countries have experienced this rapid post-war economic development that outpaced social change. This is the key. So in other words, women suddenly had to enter the workforce, but men's views of who should take care of responsibilities at home changed much more slowly. And the lowest of the low countries, where we fit into, they see an even wider divide. They say in the article, South Korea is the most glaring example. It has the lowest fertility rate in the world. We know it's in 2023, 0.72. There have been mentions of changes to that since then.
Of course. So this is her expert opinion.
That's right.
It's probably one of many reasons. But you know why I'm going to call it a wrap today?
Yes.
People are dying to know. We need a Valentine's Day update, Casey. What happened? Like Tommy literally said, "Man, are you still alive?"
I am. I made steak. I made a steak dinner.
Oh, look, he's all. You made steak dinner.
Yeah, and tiramisu was part of that.
Tiramisu.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a home cooked thing. I made sure the kids were ready to go. Everything was cleaned up around the house. I am still here to talk about it.
Oh,
I made it.
So happy.
I made it. Yeah.
So happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Casey 살아남았네요.
네, 감사합니다.
So you will be around for next week.
I think so. If everything
Let's
goes well this
survive.
weekend, yes. We'll see.
Well, thank you for bringing us two really interesting stories.
You know what I did? I threw extra housework in there.
Housework.
You know what I'm saying? That was part of me
yeah.
surviving.
Yes.
Doing more
Very
housework.
good. Thank you, Casey.
Yes.
And here is Earthquake by Chisu to take us out for hour number 1 as requested by Umberto.
About to blow. It hits me like an earthquake. 더 빠르게 my heart race. 온몸이 떨려 can't stand. 널 부정할 수 없게. I think I'm about to blow. It hits me like an earthquake. 더 빠르게 my heart race. 온몸이 떨려 can't stand. 널 부정할 수 없게. I think I'm
어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Yoon's impeachment oral arguments to end on March 25th. The Constitutional Court yesterday decided to wrap up oral arguments on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment hearing on February 24th, with the final verdict expected mid-March. The final sessions will include a review of evidence, along with 2 hours allotted to each side to present final arguments, with the court to go into deliberation. In the meantime, impeached Prime Minister Han Duck-soo testified in court yesterday. The cabinet ministers tried to stop Yoon's martial law imposition. The court refused Yoon's side request to have election officials appear as witnesses. Four-way talks with government and rival parties end without results. The meeting with the acting president, National Assembly Speaker, and the ruling and major opposition party leadership ended without an agreement on extra budget or a special law on semiconductors. The ruling People Power Party, or PPP, and the opposition Democratic Party, or DP, have been at odds over the supplementary budget and a special law that seeks to exempt semiconductor workers from South Korea's 52-hour workweek system. The entities, however, agreed to hold further discussions at the working level after agreeing on the need for a supplementary budget, said the National Assembly spokesperson. Justice Ministry to expand region-specific visas amid population crisis. The Ministry of Justice will expand the number of regions eligible for region-specific visas and relax visa requirements over the next 2 years as a part of a plan to attract foreign workers to areas facing population decline. The number of regions eligible for region-specific visas will increase to 107 from the current 89. A new region-specific visa for skilled workers, the E74R, will be also introduced with relaxed stay duration requirements. The ministry plans to allow foreign nationals who have stayed for more than 2 years on E9 non-professional employment visas or E10 seafarer employment visas to transition to the E74R visa if they meet the score-based requirements. YouTuber sentenced to 3 years for blackmailing Ziyang. The Suwon District Court yesterday sentenced YouTuber Gu Jae-yeok to 3 years in prison, finding him guilty of blackmail and extortion of mukbang star Ziyang. The YouTuber, whose real name is Lee Jun-hee, was found guilty of coercing 55 million won from Ziyang by threatening to disclose allegations regarding the YouTube star's private life and alleged tax evasion. It also noted that Yi had attempted to mislead public opinion with false claims after his case was brought to the surface and showed no signs of remorse in court. Israel grieves as Hamas returns bodies of hostages. The remains of 2 young children, their mother, and an elderly man taken hostage by Hamas have been returned to Israel in what has been described as one of the hardest days for Israel since Hamas's attack on October 7th. The Israeli army held a ceremony attended by a rabbi upon receiving the bodies. Israelis lined the road in the rain near the Gaza border to pay their respects. The transfer of the 4 bodies marks the first release of bodies in the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. In the current first stage, 33 living and dead Israeli hostages and soldiers are supposed to be exchanged for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. This was News Highlights. It is time for waglwa글. However, before we dive into all the waggly issues with Haley, I have to get out a public service announcement.
I'll stay, Mom.
All right, here we go. So the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and Korea Forest Service has issued this public service announcement at 7:30 a.m. on February 21st, 2025. These are the precautions to prevent wildfires. Do not burn rice paddies or banks around fields, agricultural debris or trash in forest areas. Do not smoke or litter cigarette butts in forest areas. Do not carry flammable materials like lighters or others when you enter mountains. Dispose of ashes from wood-burning furnaces or boilers, 화목 boiler, without live embers. So if you start a fire or bring flames into forest areas, you may be subject to up to 1 million won in fines. If your negligence causes a wildfire, you may be subject to up to 3 years in prison or up to 30 million won in criminal fines. And this was a message from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and Korea Forest Service. And as I said earlier, it's so dry. We have that dry weather special alert in place, which means we have to be extra, extra careful. Right, Haley?
That's right.
You're like, huh? No, it's serious.
It is very serious.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to get into this story. Yesterday, we talked about dupes being sold from overseas into South Korea. But now it's very domestic, this story, right?
It is very domestic. So yesterday, by the way, this affected a lot more people than I thought, because I shared that story, which was about how you buy like 직구 direct purchase supplements from other countries, and they send you dupes, fakes, and that affects your health.
Right.
A friend of a friend was actually a victim to that scam. So yeah, when I shared this in my chat room, in my group chat, we had our own little wa글 segment going on. Yeah. So now there's an intricate operation selling fake bags, wallets, and shoes in the smack middle of Myeongdong.
Myeongdong?
Because you think like these dupes and the operations, you kind of imagine a sketchy alleyway, but Myeongdong is anything but like it's
I have
one
a story.
of the biggest.
I didn't buy it.
Right.
But in the beginning, when I was like a tourist, like way back in the day before I came to live here, like I don't know how they can spot you.
Oh, they can smell you from a mile away,
right? And then so I was in Seoul, like near Itaewon,
right?
And they're like, psst, psst, like I was like, psst, psst.
Excuse me.
And then they spoke to me in English. I mean, not perfect English, but it was English.
But they knew.
Yeah, they knew. Like, they knew. I'm like, but I look Korean.
No, but for the first few years of me, like, moving back here and living here, they were like, oh, where are you from? I'm like
do I have a sign?
Apparently I did.
So they're like, psst, psst, follow. And I was like, Where? Do I know you? You know.
Seriously, I'm like,
no, I will not follow.
What do I know? My mom told me 20 years ago not to follow strangers.
So my cousin's like, no, 따라가면 안 돼. I was like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to.
Well, yeah. Interesting. So, but this, and here's the thing, it's now less more outwardly
like straight
open,
up,
but then also weirdly hidden and that's just an adjective I'm going to use now. So this sketchy fake dupe designer goods store is located actually inside a legit luxury goods store.
For real?
Right. So Seoul's Livelihood Judicial Police, they booked 2 people who have been allegedly selling designer dupes to foreign visitors, not domestic, but foreign visitors, and confiscated 1,200 items, estimated to worth 3.8 billion won. So the main operator is a repeat offender, 5-time violator. So they actually, and you can see that picture, they operated out of an actual luxury goods store, which sold real designer items to domestic customers.
I want to see inside the door.
I know, but you go through that white wall
door, right?
/door, and bim bam boom.
Oh
ta-da,
my gosh!
is
OMG.
a whole another world.
That's all
of
fake
designer goods.
I'm like seriously shocked because it's like a secret, like little
jaw dropped.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So foreign tourists, they knew about this, and because what used to happen in sketchy old alleyways and on the streets,
era,
right?
Yeah.
That is done on social media. So they would advertise it, and foreign tourists went there. And I really want to know if there was like a code word. But when they visited, they were taken in the back door to this secret space. So the fake goods are sold at about 1/20th of the price of the real ones, which is why the police say they must have known that these were fake because, come on. Let's face it,
the price.
Right.
And so Tommy wanted to know, with same price or different price?
No, of course
Tommy,
not.
it's 1/20th of the price. So yeah, you do the math. We're not going to. 문과. 자, so how much did they make out of this operation?
Well, enough for this one person to do this 5 times after getting caught over and over again. And here's the thing where the punishment maybe has not met the crime because they sold at least 250 million worth of goods 1 year, 2억 5천만 원.
Okay.
Made 150 million won in profit because, I mean, I'm assuming the fake designer goods weren't worth much, so they made a lot in profit. Paid 12 million won, 1,200만 원 in fines. So not even 10% in fines. By the way, this is extreme. This is very elaborate. But of course, dupes are so common. The police last year booked 125 people for similar crimes, confiscated 16,000 false items, estimated worth about 21.5 billion won.
Wow.
And although I am not a foreign tourist, I do see these advertisements on social media all the time. And with the algorithm, because sometimes I don't know if it's a designer purse just by looking at the purse. Because if it's not like slapped on with logos, so I'm like, oh, it's cute. And I click on it, and it's like designer ST, like ST, style, which means fake. And here's the thing with algorithms. You click one, and they'll throw you 1,000 others. So,
yes, be careful. Like, especially when you're falling asleep on your phone. No, really, it's happened to me. I'm like, why is this feed coming up on my... There's a
there
reason.
You go.
Yes. Well, be careful out there. And yes, we say no to fake goods. This next story is a sad one about a huge number of orcas. I know they're called killer whales, but let's call them orcas, getting beached.
Right. So these are 범고래, orcas or killer whales in Australia. So the Department of Natural Resources and Environment said 157 whales were discovered on this exposed beach on Tuesday local time in Tasmania's northwestern coast. Unfortunately, marine experts have given up. They've given up. There's no way to rescue them. That's because of nature. Weather and ocean conditions are unfavorable, so they have put some of the whales back, but because of the tides and the currents, the animals keep getting restranded, keep getting beached again and again. So one marine biologist who's involved in the operation said that, unfortunately, because the longer these marine mammals are out of the water, the more suffering they go through.
Oh my gosh.
So they will need to be put down. Euthanized, so which means put down means 안락사. So they will have to be basically killed. So, by the way, why do they get beached? Because these odd oddities happen every once in a while. That's unclear. That's still kind of a mystery to scientists. Reasons could include because the animals are disoriented by loud noises, so shipping, unfortunately, so humans, illnesses, old age, although some of these whales are
young
babies, right?
Right.
Injury, fleeing predators, and severe weather.
I just have a feeling it's us, though.
Right.
Like at least a big part of it. Okay, up next. Here is a casting decision that has people talking.
Right. So come August in LA, the Hollywood Bowl, we are going to see a black female Jesus on stage.
Okay.
So right. All right. So this is like the woggliest of them all. Cynthia Erivo, the Cynthia Erivo of Wicked, aka Alphaba from Wicked, will star as the role of Jesus in Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical Jesus Christ Superstar, also very famous in Korea as well. So this particular run will go on at the Hollywood Bowl in LA. So Erivo, we say like an entertainer celebrity status by EGOT, which is Emmy, Grammy, Oscars, and Tonys. So that's TV, music, film, and stage, like top prestigious awards. She's an IGT, EGT. There's no O.
But she's nominated.
She's nominated.
Yay.
So she's IGT with an O nomination.
Yes.
Sorry. For her role as Alphaba in Wicked. So we're saying she's a very talented person.
Right.
But by the way, Jesus Christ Superstar, it is this iconic rock opera.
Right.
It is, let's just say, loose retelling.
Real loose.
They never, ever advertise to be historically accurate.
Right.
Of Jesus' final days through the eyes of Judah or Judas. So the show explores the complex relationships between Jesus, his disciples, and the Roman Empire.
And I'm thinking that this casting decision, people are going to either love it or hate it.
There's no middle.
Okay.
You're in either the extreme. So, because Erivo is not a stranger to this particular show, the material. She was Mary Magdalene in one of the previous iterations, and she performed I Don't Know How to Love Him from an all-female album version that was released in 2020. Fans are very excited because she's been away from stage for quite some time, exploring her film career. But others have criticized the decision as blasphemous. So blasphemy is 신성모독 and disrespectful. So I'm just going to read one comment, which said it's downright disrespectful and it has nothing to do with color, but has to do with the fact that the Son of God, Jesus, is a man. And this is an interesting perspective because this person said if this was any other religion, you would not do this out of respect. It's definitely food for thought. And even Elon Musk has weighed in, so it's a whole woggly issue.
Indeed. All right, for a final story, the ever elusive question is all about like health. Is this all about genetics? Or is it like lifestyle?
Right. The question that we have been trying to address for, I don't know, decades, centuries. Nature versus nurture.
Yes.
So that means nature are things genetic or nurture about things that come after you are born.
The environment, how you're raised.
So here's the answer. It is more nurture than nature.
Yes.
Although nature, of course, genetics do definitely play a role.
Yes.
But this latest study suggests that lifestyle, socioeconomic conditions, they play a larger role in your health and aging. This is, by the way, a study published in Nature Medicine conducted by Oxford Population Health. So this, keep in mind, looked at a large population in the UK.
Yes.
But, some things do transpire globally. Looking at many environmental factors and genetic risk scores for 22 age-related diseases and premature death. So here's the conclusion in one line. Environmental factors accounted for 17% of variations in risks of death. Genetics, under 2%.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's look at some of the factors, though.
All right. So your nurture-ish factors, smoking. Well, duh. Yes, don't smoke. Please
It's
quit
bad.
smoking.
Yes.
We love you. We would like you to live a healthy life. Socioeconomic status. So basically how wealthy or not wealthy you were.
Yes.
Physical activity and living conditions. So smoking clearly associated with 21 diseases. If you're looking at socioeconomic factors, income, home ownership, which whether you own a home or not, your employment status.
Yes.
These are associated with 19 diseases.
Oh.
And physical activities associated with 17 diseases.
Sure.
In addition, early life exposure, so what you're exposed to when you're young, they apparently influence aging and risk of premature death even decades down the line.
I see.
Early experiences are important. Body weight, of course. Maternal smoking around birth, so whether your mom smoked around the time that you were born, of course, could have an impact up to 80 years later. So the Korean saying goes, 3살 버릇 여든까지 간다. Your habits at the age of 3 go until you're 80. It's literally right.
Yes.
Environmental exposures, they have a larger impact on lung, heart, and liver disease. And these are major issues.
Sure.
Genetics, though, so your genes. If we're talking about dementia, 치매, and breast cancer, 유방암, these had greater impact. So genetics, so once again, if you have a family history of dementia and or breast cancer, definitely keep getting tested.
Yes, be on top of it.
Good news though, environmental factors can be changed.
That's true.
Can't change your genes, can't change your surroundings.
Okay.
So once again, this study highlights the need for other studies to improve the health of all of us in aging populations by looking at what environmental factors would be the most crucial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very interesting to end it on for today, actually for the entire week.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely see you on Monday. Take care.
Have an active weekend.
All right, everybody. This was Haley, and it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It is time for your updated traffic report. There is an accident on Luno Samsangdaero from Ulsukdo Bridge to Myeongji Underpass. There is a car crash right before the underpass. Also, congestion on Jungangdaero from Pomosa Station all the way to Gyode Station. Also, very backed up on Nakdong-Namno from Myeongji to Ulsukdo. Also slow going on Pyeongno from the Wondong ramp to the Dongcheon overpass. Currently, it's minus 2 degrees Celsius. It's going to go up to 6 degrees here in Busan. There is, once again, a dry weather special alert in place over Busan. Looking ahead for tomorrow, you can expect a low of minus 3, a high of 6. Similar on Sunday. However, you can expect the high to be just go up to maybe about 4 degrees Celsius. The good news is both days look to be clear. This was your traffic and weather. And this is One Way Ticket by Eruption.
Down the track, gotta travel on.
Welcome back. All right. So before we get into our special interview, we've been asking you, would you rather have the ability to see 2 years into the future or have the ability to go back 2 years in time? And so looking to your responses, it's kind of 50-50. Surprisingly, some of you do want to go back. Some of you do want to go into the future. And the various reasons, some of them are for really altruistic reasons. For example, I'm trying to find the message. I think it was J. Beanim, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, please. 2년 전으로 돌아가서 사고로 돌아가신 분들을 구해야 돼요. How selfless is that? He wants to go back in time 2 years so that he can save people who have died in accidents. That is a superhero. So thank you for such, making us all feel bad. We were kind of joking about I would go back 2 years in time and maybe invest in certain things, whether it be stocks or Bitcoin or etc. But, some of you have some very altruistic ideas. So you've taught me a little, humility right now. So thank you for that. Well, for now, we're going to get to our very interesting special interview. I'll be back in just a moment. Researchers at Tufts University in the U.S. have apparently successfully grown human-like teeth in pigs. You heard me correctly, pigs, right? Marking a major breakthrough in dental science by using materials from both humans, human and pig teeth. They have developed tooth-like structures within the pig's mouths, apparently. So this advancement raises hopes for the future of living tooth replacements in humans. So we're talking about 기능적 생물학적 치아 대체물. So if this is successful, this could revolutionize dental care by providing natural alternatives to artificial implants, implants, and even dentures, 틀니. So let's hear from the lead researcher herself, Dr. Pamela Yellick, who is professor in the Department of Orthodontics at Tufts University School of Dental Medicine. Hi, thanks for joining our program.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So, I think this whole topic is fascinating, but if you could tell us about your own research and the recent success, what did your research find?
Right. So just to give you an overall focus of the lab, we're working on ways to improve oral health. And tooth loss is a major problem for people's health and oral health. So oral health is your health starts in the oral cavity and then it reflects the health of the rest of your body. And so oral health is extremely important. And having teeth that have caries, cavities, having teeth that have fallen out, having pain is all very unhealthy because you can't eat very well, you have nutritional deficits, you can't interact with other people, you have psychosocial issues, there's just a whole cascade of problems that happen. And so we've been working for the past 25 years plus on trying to figure out ways to create improved ways to fix defects in the craniofacial, the mouth complex, including teeth. And so we've been working with bioengineered teeth is what you can call it.
Yes. And so just the idea of this sounds so fascinating to me, but can you tell us about some of the main challenges that you face in this combining human and pig dental materials to create what's being called tooth-like structures? So when we say tooth-like structures, they're not actually teeth yet, or can you explain?
Right. You're exactly right. So the reason that we're combining pig cells with human cells is because pig cells are easier to obtain in some circumstances than the human cells are. So we've been focusing on using adult cells that can be obtained from an older person, a living person, not embryonic. I want to be clear about that.
Okay.
And so because of that, there are two different cell types that contribute to tooth development. One is called a dental mesenchymal cell, and the other is an epithelial cell. And the dental epithelial cell is very hard to get from people.
Okay.
And so we can get them from pigs really easily to combine them with our human, the other type of cell to form teeth, so that we can demonstrate proof of principle, show that we can grow tooth-like structures that are very similar to human teeth in a pig model before moving into a human, of course.
I see. So if I understand correctly, these human and pig dental materials, starting from the cells, they have been created to make these tooth-like structures. And thus far, they've been put into the oral cavity or the mouths of pigs. Is that correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So pigs are being used as a surrogate for a human at this point in time because you need to demonstrate, again, the proof of principle in a living animal before you can move into humans.
Right, right. So I'm curious as to how these bioengineered teeth-like structures, how they compare to, real natural human teeth in terms of structure and function. Have you gotten that far yet?
Yes. So our goal is to create bioengineered teeth that exactly replicate natural teeth. And we've come close. They're not perfect. They're not perfectly sized and shaped.
Okay.
But the foundations of the teeth, the tissues that are there in the right structure, in the right shape and form are there. They're just not the perfect size.
Yes, yes. So, Professor, we're getting a question on our board. So people are trying to wrap their minds around this. So to clarify, we're getting cells from human beings, right? And then cells from pigs as well. And then
human
combining.
teeth and pig teeth.
Yes.
So cells from human teeth and cells from pig teeth. And we're combining them together to create new teeth. And the idea ultimately would be to use only human cells, of course.
My next question is this. Well, obviously, if you're going to, implant the tooth-like structures or teeth later on, are we talking about, what about the gums? So obviously, right now, they're in the mouths of pigs. So would it be okay, in theory, to later on implant those bioengineered teeth into the gums straight into the gums of human beings?
Right. So the bioengineered tooth buds in the future that would be solely made from human cells would be implanted in the human jaw, and then they would grow the same way that a natural tooth grows.
For us, it's like, science fiction, but it sounds so amazing because when we talk about oral health, like things like implants and dentures, etc. This kind of, we take it as like, oh, that's probably I'm gonna need that later on when I get a little older. If you haven't had some sort of accident, maybe you already have them. So how does this approach compare to the current dental implant technologies?
Right. So the approach would be similar in that the bioengineered tooth would be implanted in a similar way that dental implants are placed right now. But the tooth itself would be completely different. It would be vital. It would be living. You would be able to feel it. Theoretically, they could even be improved in that they could be more resistant to caries, to cavities. But it would be a living, healthy tooth that would behave similarly to the rest of your teeth. Titanium is a very different substance from any of the structures, materials that are in your mouth, the tissues that are in your mouth. And they can suffer from problems such as peri-implantitis, which can result in implant failure, bone resorption. So that our goal, our drive, is to create biological teeth that don't suffer from those weaknesses or deficiencies and actually resemble natural teeth.
Right. And reading up on your research, just a little byline that I saw, you say that pigs have as many as 5 or 6 sets of teeth that grow throughout their lives. First, is this like true? And like, can we get that also maybe in the future?
Right. That is a very interesting aspect. We're not working on that per se, on how to get our teeth to be able to grow another tooth. We're instead using this kind of tissue engineering approach. The ability to create a new tooth off of an adult tooth, for example, that's growing in the human mouth, you'd have to do it very early. You'd have to do it prior to the time your adult tooth erupts. And so we're not proposing to do that. What we're proposing to do is when you're presented with an elderly person or a child that's had to have a tooth extracted or that have been in accidents and have lost jaws and teeth, we're talking about taking that and growing a functional tooth in that jawbone, new jawbone. We're also working on creating new hard and soft tissues to complement, because growing these tissues together, these structures together, also facilitates the health of both of them.
Indeed. Well, what are the next steps? Because right now you are trying, them out. The trials are in the pig's mouth. So is there a timeline where we might see trials in human beings?
Yeah, so our approach is a tissue engineering approach, which uses cells, which I've already told you. We're using these adult postnatal cells. And use scaffolds, which are these little material that the cells can sit on and grow on and turn into teeth.
Yes.
And so we've identified the cell sources that we like. We're still playing with different kinds of scaffolds to give us exactly the teeth that we want in a good, timely fashion. And then, so those are two things that we're still working on. And then we need to be able to validate growing these teeth in specific sizes and shapes before we move them into humans. But we're getting close. We're forming really nice tooth root structures that could fit into a human mouth.
I see. But I do have to ask you this as well, Dr. Yellick, because, are there foreseeable risks or even some ethical considerations when we're talking about, implanting bioengineered teeth into human beings? What might be some of the complications or risks be?
Right. There definitely needs to be a lot of care taken to make sure that these organs will not be rejected or cause any sort of an immune response. And similar to other tissue engineering approaches, we would make sure, ideally, the cells would come from the person themselves, and then they wouldn't be rejected.
Yes. Well, I have to say the future of tooth replacements, it sounds fascinating if this can really be parlayed into real life with, us lay people being able to benefit from this. And we look forward to that day. So thank you so much for explaining the process to our listeners.
Thank you very much, Catherine. A pleasure to be here.
This was Dr. Pamela Yellick, and we talked about the future. It sounds so sci-fi, but they're actually, doing this in the mouths of pigs. So pretty amazing. Will we see this soon? I'm so excited because, everyone I know you have people in your family, or maybe you yourself, Tommy, saying, I need an implant next month. I mean, it's so commonplace to get implants. It affects all of us. We're going to need probably an implant or two sooner or later in life. All right, that is our special interview. Let's get to our song break. This is How Long Will I Love You by Ellie Goulding.
How long will I love you? As long as stars are above you, and longer if I can. How long will I need you? As long as the seasons need to follow their plan. How long will I be with you?
moving through time together, every day of our lives. All we can do is do our best to relish this remarkable ride.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
We have Masana in the house for What in the World.
What in the world, indeed?
So,
what in the world?
Glasses.
4 eyes.
You look so smart. You added like
So I didn't look smart before.
smarter. smarter.
비교급.
But I'm curious. What's with the glasses?
I'm
Because like Melissa had glasses on. She had a reason. So what's your reason?
I'm on the wrong side of 50.
Oh, seriously? Your eyesight's going?
That's why with your question before, I'd rather go back 2 years.
Oh, 2 years.
Or 20.
No, you don't get to choose how many. We say
it's two.
Just two.
And
It's so like
am I
MA,
allowed to come
too.
back or
No.
No,
You
have
gotta
to
stay
stay
there.
there.
Yes.
Am I allowed to take anything back?
No.
No. Just the clothes I'm
just,
wearing.
Off the top of my head, I'm just saying no.
No.
Just everything no to Vasana. No.
That's
I'm
my
gonna make your
nickname.
life
It's
hard.
not Vasana, it's Nosana.
No, Leslie says those glasses look amazing.
Oh, thank you, Leslie.
Aw, so cute.
감사합니다.
Her message was cute. Yes. Now,
or wherever you are in the world, I don't know what thank you is where you are.
all right, it's Friday. We love having Vasana to, end our week. So what do you have for us? Yes.
Today I have an assortment of stories that include community, dreams, and nachos.
Oh my gosh, I love nachos.
You love nachos?
Yes.
Okay. You might not like this nacho story, but...
Why? I like making my own nachos. Have you ever made your own nachos?
No.
Oh. Well, if you get the tortillas,
Yeah.
what I do is I cut them up and then I bake them in the oven so that they're not fried.
Sorry, when you said make your own nachos, I thought you were making it from scratch, like from flour and water.
I could do that too. Oh, should I try this week?
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
If I
look forward to your food post, by the way. I'm having this for dinner. That looks good. Oh, okay.
What was ew?
I'm not telling you.
Okay. All right. So what's going on with the nachos?
We'll end with nachos. Oh, do you want to start with nachos? Okay.
No. Just
it's not really
whatever order.
nachos.
Yes.
But firstly, let me ask you, reheating nachos, would you ever?
Reheating nachos?
Like you order nachos, or just kind of like leftovers.
Yeah, throw them in the microwave. You're not supposed to.
Is it the microwave or an oven?
Oh, well, if I had time, it would be in the oven.
Yeah.
But nowadays, everything is with an air fryer. I get the wax paper.
Oh, yes. Air fryer is a lifesaver.
So good.
Oh,
I love my
goodness.
air fryer.
Yes, me too.
Yes, I need a new one.
Yes.
Why do you ask?
Well, it's a new word.
Oh, it is.
I'm learning new words every single week, probably every single day.
Yes.
Especially from my son as well. Reheating nachos is a new way to say an artist is bringing back an old sound or an old look.
That's what that means?
That's what that means.
Oh, gosh. You and I are both old.
Yes, exactly.
Reheating
So
nachos?
when I saw Lady Gaga's reheating nachos, I mean, Lady Gaga with her fashion.
She's okay. Now I get it. Okay.
But with her fashion and saying reheating nachos, my mind went everywhere.
Right, but
what is she reheating? Especially with those meat
like what
dresses.
a producer.
Yeah, so I got this picture of.
그 뜻이 아니래잖아. But I love it. Oh, I'm so hungry. But yeah, 그게 아니라. It's like bringing something back.
But
from
that's
the
how
past.
you should reheat nachos, by the way.
In the oven.
In the oven, not in
Yes.
the microwave because they're all
Right.
soggy.
Yes.
But anyway. So if you think about it, every artist does this. Obviously, in the music world, they call it either a remake or a remix.
Oh, that's true.
But these days, they like
It's a
making
new
new
word.
word.
I like it.
Reheating nachos.
Do it the right way, though.
Like Netflix and chill is now old. I I used it the other day, and my student said, "Oh, what does that mean?" I'm going, "Oh." And I suppose somebody 4 years older would understand what that meant. And some of the little kids don't even know what X-Men is these days either. They haven't seen X-Men.
Oh,
so
maybe.
So yeah, you know you're old when. I mean, if I say my favorite movie was Born Free, and they'll go, "Oh, what was that about? Was it about freeing people?" No, it was about a lion.
Yes. Okay, on to our next story.
Okay. Having a party when you're 87.
Ooh.
So this guy called Doug, 87 years old, and last weekend he threw a celebration of winter party.
Ooh.
So he gave out invitations, not by email. He went, it basically was a block party.
Okay.
So he went and knocked on everybody's door and gave them a handwritten invitation. I think I've got a little picture of it. So no texts, no emails, no even DM. I don't feel right saying DM.
Right.
It sounds funny, especially when I say it.
Yes.
My son will go, "Dad, don't say DM. It sounds rude when you say it." So anyway, he hand-delivered handwritten invitations to all his neighbors.
Oh, that's sweet.
Before we carry on, when was the last time you hand-wrote a letter?
Just last year.
No way.
No, for real.
To whom?
To a family member.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Right.
I remember when I was in my teens, I would write love letters all the time.
Aw, and would you fold them? No?
No. What do you mean fold them?
Like in pretty shapes.
No, I was writing letters to send them.
To send them? In the mail?
In the mail.
Like snail mail?
Snail mail.
Ah. Was she long distance?
Yeah.
Or was it long distance? Ah,
Yeah.
how far?
Another country.
Oh, that's far. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened at the party?
Okay. So anyway.
Going back to the party, you digress. What happened?
Okay, so on the invitation,
Yes.
I've got a picture of it. On the invitation, it says, starts at 4 p.m. And runs until the cops arrive.
I love it. Oh, look at that. I would so go if he gave me that invitation.
Yeah.
And what does it say? Food and drinks?
So he's providing the food and the drinks. All you need to bring, as he said there, is just a smile.
Aw.
Yeah.
I would definitely go.
But I love the time. Usually you say 4
Look
to
at the
10, 4 to 11.
snowflake.
Yep. So 4 p.m. until the cops arrive.
Love it. I love it.
So when, I was wondering, when you get to 87,
Yes.
would you have this kind of energy to throw a
I
party?
hope so.
Yeah.
I aim for that.
Even now, do you have when was the last time you had a house party with lots of guests?
Oh, never.
Exactly. It's just
Not
Korean
lots of
culture.
guests. It's a few people over.
Yeah.
Mainly, just like my sister and her family. But that together, there's still 9 of us. So
Yeah.
that's a party. Yes.
I usually have once a year during the AFL. That's an Aussie Football League final. I hold a party at my place.
Are they all?
They're all Australian,
Yes.
New Zealanders. A couple of Americans who just want to come and drink. And there's about 20 come to my home.
20's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, let's have it all at
it's
once.
12 midday until the cops arrive.
So just in case, people are probably wondering, what does that mean until the cops arrive? Usually in the States or, English-speaking countries. English-speaking countries, I said. Yes, basically, you party until you get the ding-dong or the knock saying, we just received a report. You need to keep the noise level down, or you need to tell everybody to go home.
Can I confess something here?
Yes.
That's happened to me a couple of times in Korea.
In Korea?
Because we have, in Korea, the parties that young people have are housewarming parties.
Yes.
So
집들이.
So, 집들이s can get
loud.
Especially when you're playing games as well, when you have young people. When I was younger.
So they came to your door?
They came to the door and they knocked.
And said?
And there's I remember 3 policemen. One young female, she could speak English. And I was singing Robbie Williams at the top of my lungs.
And they told you to keep it down?
To keep it down, but then I invited them in, gave them some beer, and they had a good time.
In Korea?
In Korea.
Okay, don't say where. We don't want people to get fired, okay?
This was about 20 years ago, though. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Different era.
Moving on
quickly right now.
Okay, speaking of people who know how to make an entrance, unlike the policeman, let's talk about Loretta.
Who's Loretta?
Loretta.
Yes.
Sorry, Loretta, New Zealand
Loretta.
accent. She's she was 104 years old last month. And
is there
she
like a theme going
celebrated
on?
her birthday by going to jail.
Ooh, on purpose? By mistake? Did she do
something? It was on her bucket list. So, yeah.
Sorry.
Mic drop. So,
she wanted to go to jail. That was on her bucket list.
That was on her bucket list because she had never been near a jail. So,
I would hope so. Okay.
So as I was saying before, when Doug was 87, he was throwing a party. She's 104. She wants to go to jail. So she wanted to be fingerprinted and thrown in a cell. And
she wanted to be fingerprinted?
Yeah, she's old and bold.
Oh.
I've got a picture of her in the wheelchair and also posing
Is
with...
that Loretta?
That's Loretta.
Aw. The fact that they were so accommodating.
Yeah, they...
she can't stand for her mugshot, I'm thinking.
Yeah, no.
She's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, she's in jail. No, they brought it down. So, because these days mugshots are... the fingerprinting as well is all done digitally. And so...
Is it? How would you know, Vasana?
I saw it on TV. A friend told me.
Beads of sweat rolling down Vasana's face.
친구의 친구.
네, okay. 요즘에는 다 전자로 한대요. According to Vasana. I don't know. But yes.
According to Vasana's friend's friend.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay, and when the officers locked her in the cell, she probably whispered, "I ain't afraid to do time, sonny." At 104, I don't know how much time she would have left.
Yes.
So the deputies gave her a tour, as you saw in the picture.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And now they nicknamed her Gangster Granny.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so I was wondering, another text topic you've had before.
Okay.
On your bucket list. Mm-hmm. What is on, do you have anything on your...
My bucket list? I don't know.
I've changed it from using bucket list anymore because bucket lists I've had to explain.
Kick the bucket.
kick the bucket means. And where it originated from.
Right.
And it's not a very good
right.
What do you call it? Origin of the term. So I would say what is on your wish list?
Yes, before you die.
Yeah, before even that.
Before you kick the bucket. It all goes back to the bucket.
Yes. So is there anything that you haven't done in your life that you would love to do?
Just, I feel like...
Sleep, I reckon.
Sleep and travel.
Okay.
They give me a vacation every year for Morning Wave in Busan, and I just don't take it.
No, yeah.
I definitely travel.
I hate
I'm
travel.
saving it up for when I quit soon. Yes, I'm traveling. Yes.
Soon is a very, subjective term.
It is. Yeah. Well, we're going to end it on that note, but thank you so much for the stories and the visuals. I love the photos that go with your stories. Brings them back to life. And so have a good weekend. We'll check in with you next week.
TGIF.
All right. Thank you, Vasana. And with that, it is time to wrap things up. Thank you for tuning in. Our staff producer, Cho Yun-jin. We have our writers, Haley, Annie. Thank you very much. I'm your host. I'll be back on Monday. How about this one? We Are the World. This is USA for Africa, as requested by Taejin. Enjoy. Have a good one. Bye.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We all a part of God's great big family. And the truth, love is all we need. Beyond the world, beyond the children, beyond the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving.
새로운 다우니. 건조기를 사용하면 섬유유연제 향기가 사라진다고요?